Hello and welcome back again to my page. I don't know if this is considered a podcast. I don't know what this is called, but me just babbling into my microphone. Anyway, um, so I saw this article and then I started down the rabbit hole of learning about this new mental health crisis about kids refusing to go to school. And there's this teenage son, Jane Dembski's apparently teenage son. He's not a criminal. He's never stolen. He doesn't do illegal substances, never hurt anyone. He just doesn't go to school. And now police are showing up at their door, which I didn't even know they had like truancy officers anymore, but apparently they did. I guess it started for this kid in like sixth grade, and there was other kids mentioned in the article. And then, as I said, I went down the rabbit hole. Some of them talked about how it's happened since COVID, which doesn't really surprise me, depending on how parents handled the COVID lockdown situation. If they were repeatedly telling their children how dangerous outside was, how dangerous schools were, how they're going to die if they go to schools, how many germs there are. They walk into a school, a kid sneezes, and they're like, oh my God, we're all going to die. That's not really healthy for anybody. Another thing that's interesting that I find is people often talk about how much things have changed from like when we were kids and how like the teachers get blamed for everything now. So it used to be like if a kid comes home and they didn't do well in school, um, the kid would get punished, whatever. I know I spent many a weekend grounded after a report card back in the day. Um, and now it's like the kids, now the parents go in and yell at the teachers, like, why is my teacher, why are you failing my child and all that kind of stuff. And people think like this is spoiling children. But I think it's the opposite. I think kids are just so screwed up because of the change of not having like the kids not going to school being told like, look, this is your obligation. You have to go to school. They were told don't go to school for how long? Under no circumstances must you go to school. It's not necessary. It doesn't matter. All these kind of things. And then they go to school and obviously they don't like school. What kid likes school? Nobody likes school. And it's like they don't see the purpose behind it. Without purpose, people get very anxious and it causes all kinds of problems. And then there's the bullying and how people don't handle bullying correctly. I talked about this in my Why I Homeschool Now, where the administrators just want to like cruise, like they want to make everybody happy, like, oh yeah, you're good, you're good, you're good, everybody's good. And it's like nobody's good. The bullies get coddled, and the kids who are being bullied get told like, well, you must have done something. It's like if you didn't wear a short skirt you wouldn't have been raped accusations. Like, well, if he did something to you, then you must have initiated it or instigated it or something. And it's like, no, he just is a crazy bully. And so nobody is like getting like the people who are doing poorly aren't feeling the responsibility of having to be better, and the people who are doing well aren't feeling the justifications of like, hey, I did a good job, look at me, yay, look at me go. I think a lot of that started back. I know people are going to laugh, like, oh, everybody talks about this, but the participation trophies, when it just became, let's just make everybody happy. You can't make everybody happy. The more you try to make everybody happy, the more everybody's going to be miserable because there'll be no rules. There'll be no understanding of why things are the way they are. And especially children who haven't figured out why things are the way they are, they don't understand, and they need to be told why things are the way they are. And, these kids are going to school and they're being told now, okay, time to go back to school. It's very important. You got to go back to school. And it's like, well, I hate school. Like, what? And then they go back in. And like I said, there's all those fears of germs that they were taught for that year and whatever, that they weren't allowed to be around other human beings, which is a huge chunk of their life. They're also, I've noticed a lot more, and I mean, people always say people talking to their phones and their devices and their and they don't have human connections anymore, which is true. But we always talk about from our generation, again, Gen X, how like you would just go outside. Like you just, where are you going? Outside. What'd you do when you were a kid? We went outside. That was it. Okay. There's like someone crazy beeping outside my door. Um, you just went outside and you just played and you learned interpersonal relationships. And I talked before about how I don't know if going to school and just being thrown in with kids that you might not necessarily get along with, you might not have anything in common with, you might not have anything to do with. It's kind of like they're losing the capability of being outside school and being able to kind of pick and choose friends and figure out where they belong, like in the neighborhood. Like you can have these friends and not have those friends. And, maybe they do school, maybe they do team sports, which is a thing. But even then, you're kind of like stuck in a group that you have to be with, kind of like in school. And you could be the outcast of, you always see in the movies, there's that kid who's the outcast who doesn't get along with people. But now I feel like everybody is. Like I feel like everybody feels like, because they're told repeatedly that none of this matters, that their grade, oh, it doesn't matter if you go to school. The grades don't matter. The teacher's wrong. Oh, it doesn't matter if you do well in sport. Here's a trophy anyway. Oh, it doesn't matter. Nothing. Like nobody can feel a sense of accomplishment. Nobody can feel a sense of pride. Nobody can feel a sense of belonging or anything, because everything is just blah. Like all meaning of life has been taken away from these poor kids, up to and including like going outside and just being alive. When COVID happened, my kid was in first grade. It was the end of first grade. And, obviously schools closed down. And I had to rearrange my schedule to be with him because he was little and it's just me. So I just kind of put off some things until the end of the school year. Changed around some of my obligations because it had to be done. And but I was like, when under no circumstances are we staying home. Like I found this, he was in first grade. They weren't prepared for this. So there was only a couple months left. So they, sent home like 2 weeks worth of worksheets. And then like once a week we'd get a couple of worksheets. And I'm like, no. I'm like, your education is still important. So I would find things online. It's part of what started my whole homeschool journey. We set up with Epic and Khan Academy and all these things that some of them were tools that the school gave us, and some of them were ones that I found on my own or talked to friends or what have you. And I made sure he understood, like, it's still important. You still need to learn, even though the world's gone crazy. And I made sure to get outside as much as possible. Thankfully, we live in a, fairly suburban, rural area, depending on which direction we head in our car. So we have lots of, hiking areas and open spaces and different places. And my brother had the same train of thought as me. It's like, we're good. He worked from home. I wasn't, I was working from home doing my thing, what have you, with the kid. And so I was like, we're just gonna, we went out for walks like every single day. We went out for my brother had dogs. We eventually got a dog. We were between dogs at the time. And, like we just kept active. We kept busy. We kept doing things. I signed him up for online classes. I signed him up for whatever I could to keep him engaged, because I'm like, doing nothing is the worst thing for a human being. Feeling like your life doesn't matter. Feeling like it doesn't matter if you even get up this today. It doesn't even matter. That's the worst thing for a person. And you add to it that they're children. You add to it that they're going to these school systems that like that cater to just like whatever's easy, like whatever causes the least amount of friction in their world. So if you're like the good kid who just doesn't, does his work and goes by and does whatever, you get no attention, none whatsoever. If you get picked on, they just go, oh, well, you must have done something. It's fine. let's pay attention to this bratty kid who's picking on everybody and be like, oh, but you're such a good kid and you're fine and you're wonderful and we're sorry. Is there anything we can do for you? And blah, blah. And now the kid who's picking on people clearly has some sort of problem, but it's not getting solved because they're being told that they're wonderful no matter what they do. And the kid who's getting picked on is still getting picked on, even though they're a perfectly wonderful kid. And I've seen it. I mean, my kid's not always perfectly wonderful, but I've seen some other kids in the schools where this is happening. And it's like reality doesn't matter anymore to these people, like at all. Like it doesn't matter that you need to do, like you need to learn math so that if someday you become something that has to do with math, because I'm not a math person, but an engineer of some sort or what have you, the math needs to be correct. Otherwise, planes are coming out of the sky, buildings are falling down, bridges are collapsing. I'd say the market's collapsing, but that's already happening. And maybe it's because we have people who don't care about reality. I don't know. But it's like there's also this whole push, which I'm actually going to do another thing on later, for like to be special, you have to have a mental health issue. Like, oh, I don't know, often I hear someone being like, oh my God, my OCD was so bad today. I saw this with adults. Like I was pumping gas and it was like, 12 gallons of gas. And it was like $120, just making up numbers. And it's like the number, but it was like $111. I just wanted to get to that 12. Oh, it was driving me crazy. It's like, you're an OCD. You're a human who notices patterns. That's what you are. And yes, you like the patterns to match up. Like you'll see something, sometimes they'll see, like a design in a floor, with tiles or something, and one will be off. And oh my God, my OCD was so bad. If you had OCD, like severe, like actual OCD, like clinical OCD, you would not function afterwards. That's what OCD is. That's what it really means. But people throw around these things like it's nothing. Anyway, again, that's another story for another time. My point is that there's also a certain amount of like people want to feel special. So I don't want to say they make up a mental health crisis or issue, but they lean into things. Like if they start getting, like the bully, if they start getting attention, they lean into it. And I don't know if it's more prevalent in the United States because like traditionally people who came to the United States were people who were looking for something more. Like if they weren't looking for something more, they just would have stayed wherever they came from for the most part. So I don't know if there's something in that, they came for the gold rush or they came for their religion or they came for, whatever it was that they came for. Now they come for the streets are paved in gold or whatever it is. I don't know if it's something about the United States that like the people who came here wanted something exceptional. It's why Hollywood is in the United States. It's where it all comes from. And so and now with the new online thing, and I know I'm online, but I'm not online because I want to be famous. I'm online because I just feel like some things need to be said. Anyway, as I sit here with my messy bun, which is why I'm not on my picture. My kid's practicing his ukulele in the other room. It's like you need something to be special, and you can't get that from being good at anything anymore because it doesn't matter if you are the best scorer on your soccer team. Everyone's getting the same trophy. It doesn't matter if you are, the best, they're taking away grades, which I get. Some people like this, some people don't like this. I understand that. I weigh in on both sides and I get the argument. But the people who do really well and work really hard it'd be different if you were like, wow, you're doing so well. You worked really hard and showed that you're working really hard, even if you didn't get them right. And you got a different kind of accolade. And then there are other people who graze through and get A's because they do, and it's fine, and you get a different kind of accolade. But there still should be something that shows that you are special because of something you have accomplished. And now it's just, no, everybody's special in the same way. And it makes people be like, huh? They're literally taking away people's drive to do anything because they're taking away all reason for doing anything. You don't have to go to work anymore. The government just takes care of you, which I don't know where they think the government gets money from, except for rich companies. Okay, where does rich companies get money? It's just the cycle that people need to learn in economics class, which again, another video. But and maybe it's part of it is the schools themselves. Kids aren't meant, especially boys. This is talking about her son. Especially boys are not just meant to sit in a desk for 6 to 8 hours a day. And they used to have more, like, we had cooking, we had cooking, we had woodshop, we had sewing, we had art, we had music, we had all those extra stuff too. But I know a lot of schools just keep cutting anything extra, and it's like focusing on just, I don't even know what they focus on because nobody's proficient in math or reading anymore. I have no idea what they're teaching children. But they're focusing on, I don't know, teaching agendas at this point, I suppose. And most of the agendas are about how bad you are or how you're not going to do anything in life. That's it. Those are the two agendas. You're either, because of who you are, because of who you were born, you're a bad person, or because of who you are and because of what you were born, you'll never accomplish anything because because the whole world is against you, and without the help of the bad people, you're not going to accomplish it. It's the stupidest agenda anyway. Again, another video. The point being is that there is a mental health crisis, but it has more to do with people needing to feel like they are needed, needing to feel like they matter, needing to feel like the things they do mean something, instead of just being told that it's okay if you stay home. Nobody gives a crap anyway. Whether you're sleeping in your bed all day or whether you're out doing something means nothing to the world. And I think that's the worst thing you can tell somebody. Anyway, that's really all I had to say about this. So if you like the things I have to say, hate the things I have to say, comment on the things that I have to say, like, share, comment, subscribe, whatever. Okay. Thank you.